All right, welcome back everybody to Benzigal Office Hours, the weekly live stream that we do where we talk about building a website for your music and everything that has to do with promoting and marketing yourself as an independent musician. My name's Joe. I'm the learning development coordinator at Benzugal, and I'm here with you every week to chat, to hang out. If you're in the live, let me know your name. Let me know where you're from. I say this every week and I get amazing suggestions. If you're listening to anything really cool right now that you want to recommend, let me know in the chat too. I'm always looking for music recommendations. So whatever you got playing in the background right now that you think is really cool and you want to share, post it in there. Also importantly, if you do have a website built for your music, post a link to that website for me so I can check it out. If you have any questions about it, if you'd like, I can check it out right now, give you some feedback on it on the live or afterwards if you'd like. And let me know the type of music you play too. So introduce yourself. Let me know your name, where you're from, where you're coming in from, where you're watching from, and what kind of music do you play. So today's a really interesting topic. We've covered a lot to do with marketing your music, marketing yourself as an independent musician. So one thing that I think is an ongoing topic that whenever I do a lot of webinars for Bandzoogle, and whenever I talk to members or people who might be members, prospective members who are thinking about signing up and or maybe on a free trial, the thing that they always tell me is that why I'm trying to understand. I'm interested by it. I'm like the whole concept of having a website's really interesting to me, and I want one. But what should I be doing differently on my website as opposed to my social media? How can I have them both sort of like coexist? How can I benefit from having all these different things, or why, or just in general, why do I even need a website for my music? So these are all extremely good questions, right? And there are really good answers for these things. So that's what we're going to cover today. So 10 reasons why you need a website for your music. And if you already have one, then you can look at it like 10 reasons why you should be actively maintaining your website for your music. So these all go hand in hand, whether you have one already or you're thinking about maybe building one and you're not sure why you should. Any questions along the way? Hey, Rod, thanks for popping in. Where are you from? And most importantly, let me know the type of music you play or the type of music you like. And we got Doughboy God, of course. Checked out your website already. It's awesome. I love it. So number 10, and as always, sorry, before I should mention, these are always based off of either videos that we have existing on our YouTube channel. So check that out. I mean, obviously you're watching the YouTube live, but if you haven't gone back to the library of past videos and watched some of those and check them out, definitely do it. If you want to watch past lives, you can click on the lives tab there and you can go back and see ones from past weeks. So this one, the whole idea here, the whole concept of what we're talking about is based off an amazing blog post by our director of communications, Melanie. And you can check that out at bandzigal.com by clicking on the blog link if you'd like. We have a whole bunch of other ones, but this is one from a couple of weeks back. That was awesome. So number 10 for why you need a website for your music. And this might be the most important one for me, even though it's number 10 on the list. And it's that you have complete control. So whereas with social media, you're kind of restricted within the constraints of whatever platform you're working on. So whether that's X, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, right, or even something like TikTok, every Instagram profile is structured the same way. So to a certain extent, it looks the same way. Of course, the content on there is customized, but the experience that somebody's going to have when they land on an Instagram account, when they land on a Facebook page, is going to be the same. So with a website, you have complete control over what people see. You have complete control over the information that's available to them, over what they hear, the experience that they have. I always like to give this analogy when talking about a website. If you go buy a physical album back in the day, if you remember buying a physical albums, you know, before digital music took over, even these days, you know, vinyls are still really popular. So if you buy a new vinyl, you get home, you pop it on your record player, and you start looking through the inserts, the booklets inside of the vinyl packaging, and there's the artwork on the front. Of course, you flip it over. It's the first thing everybody does, right? You look at the back, you look at all the imagery associated with it, and you take in kind of like the colors and the design and the vibe that's there on the album artwork and the packaging for this physical album. That emotion, that feeling is so important because that gets associated with the music, and it goes along with the feeling that people have when they're on your website and they think about you as an artist and they think about your music. It all goes hand in hand, and feeling is such a part of music. Rod from Mexico, awesome industrial rock, dude. Industrial rock right up my alley. Right up my alley. I was raised on Nine Inch Nails, man, which is probably OG industrial rock, but definitely appreciate that. KMFDM, another band I was raised on, so I'm very familiar. Thanks for popping in, Ron. So you have complete control over the look of your website, and it can completely be customized to the branding of whatever it is you might be promoting at that moment, whether it's a new album, single, or just the branding for you as an artist or a band. Number 9 on that list is gaining insight into fan data. Sorry, wait, Patrick. Thanks for popping in, Patrick. Got a question here. So you're saying that covers are important too, like covers of songs. What I was saying is like the cover of an album. So like the physical, or yeah, maybe you're asking if like is it important to put effort into the cover of my albums? Um, yeah. So what I was trying to say there was, the artwork that when you take in the artwork of a physical album, while you're listening to it, it's part of the whole experience. So you're taking a look at the front and back covers and the visuals of that. The vibe that conveys, the feeling, how that makes you feel when you're listening to the music and looking at it in conjunction with each other is kind of part of the whole experience. When I think back to some of my favorite albums, some of them I have on the wall there behind me. You can see, yeah, back there. The artwork for those albums were huge. When I first bought those CDs at the time, I remember listening to them, looking through the jewel case inserts, looking through all the artwork, the photos of the bands while listening to the CD. Or I'd even have, like, if I had the CD on in my car, I'd have like the CD kind of like propped up on this little sort of like indentation on the dashboard that a CD would kind of like fit perfectly on. I'd sort of have it on display while listening to the CD. So like the artwork from these CDs is kind of permanently tattooed into my mind, and it goes along. When I think of the album, I think about those colors, I think about that imagery, whatever the emotion that artwork was meant to convey. And so your website does the same thing. The colors that you choose, the artwork that you put on there, it's all part of that front-facing branding and image that people see when they land on there. So you have complete control over that, which as a creative, wouldn't you want to take control of that? Yeah, it's deep, right? Well, it's part of it, man. It's part of the psychology of presenting your music, presenting your art to the public in that way. These are all little things, little details that you can concentrate on and focus on, that's just going to help people bond with you as an artist and help them bond with your music. It's what's going to make it stand out. If they land on your website as opposed to they land on somebody else's website in a similar genre who puts no effort into it, and they land on it, it's kind of just generic and standard and bland, as opposed to if you have a site that's carefully thought out and designed, and it makes for a very appealing experience visually when they're searching through it. It adds to the whole experience. Imagine an old album change the cover. Would it feel the same? Yeah, man, exactly. It wouldn't feel the same at all. It takes away from that. Yeah, it takes away a piece of that album, part of that album. I think about some of like the classic albums. Yeah, that artwork is just so synonymous with it. So number 9, gaining insight into fan data. So fan data in general is key. What that means is with a website, you can see exactly who's coming to your site through the report section. Let's say if your Bandzoogle account, you can see who's coming, when they're coming, where they're coming from, what they do when they land on your website, what they're clicking on, what they're most interested in. So all these different insights are useful for a bunch of different reasons, depending on what you're using them for. You might be running, let's say, campaigns, marketing campaigns, as we say, to sell tickets to an upcoming gig that you're doing, or you're trying to get people listening or buying your new album, downloading your new album. So you might be promoting it on your socials and linking back to your website and saying, click here to buy the album, to buy, physical version of it, to buy the vinyl, or to buy, buy a digital download of it. Click here to buy tickets to my upcoming gigs. So you might see through analytics that people are landing on your website from a link that you posted on Instagram or posted on Facebook, wherever it might be. They land on your website, but then they're not doing anything once they're there, or they're clicking on something else instead of clicking on the button to buy a ticket. So once you start understanding that, then you can start making adjustments to improve things. Then you might think like, okay, if they're clicking on something else and not on the button to get more information about the show or buy a ticket, then maybe there's too much stuff on that page. Maybe I need to simplify things. Maybe I need to make the button to buy a little bit more obvious. So this is all information that you can gain to help you sort of perfect that fan experience. And also you get information on where people are coming from. So where your fans are, where they're coming, how they're finding you. So what's redirecting them to your website. And that's really useful as well, because you might understand that, okay, I'm putting a lot of effort into Facebook and I'm posting a lot there because I have a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand followers on Facebook, but everybody's finding me through Instagram. So then you might decide after a while, it's like, okay, maybe those followers on Facebook are kind of, non-active, dead, as we kind of say, where they're not seeing my stuff. Nobody really engages there. So I'm going to put more of my effort into promoting myself on Instagram, for example. So that data is just all really powerful. The next one, why you need a website, is one of the best ways to build your mailing list. In 2024, going on to 2025, a mailing list is still the most effective way to market your music. One stat to keep in mind, if you post something on social media, that the last figure that I read, it reaches anywhere from 10 to 17, 18% of your followers. So why? Because of algorithms. When you log into your own Instagram, what do you see? You see a lot of ads. You see a lot of posts from just certain accounts, because it shows you posts from accounts that you interact with more, and it'll show you those before people that you follow directly that just posted something new 2 hours ago. So people's feeds don't work chronologically anymore. The algorithms decide what they see. So posting on social media is great. And the whole background to all this stuff, have everything. Don't just have a website. 10 reasons for why a website's important is not just have a website and forget about social media. Ideally, you have a well-rounded online presence and you have all these things. But so as I mentioned, so anywhere from 10 to 17, 18% of people are going to see something that you post on social media. Through email marketing, read rate, so the amount of people that click on it to open an email, is anywhere from 30 to 50%. So you're reaching a lot, and that's an average. So it can be more depending on how active your fan base is. So you reach a lot more people there. And it's not as hard as you might think to get people signing up to your mailing list. If people like you enough to follow you on Instagram and want to get updates from you, to follow you wherever it might be, if you give them a little bit of incentive to join your mailing list, and through Bandzoogle, you can offer a free download, you can offer something in return to incentivize them to sign up. And you could even say, once you're on the mailing list, you'll get, discounts by email for our merch store. You'll get advanced copies of new albums to stream, any kind of good stuff that you can think of to incentivize. And then once they're on your mailing list, you can market upcoming shows, you can market new merch items, you can market new music releases, whatever it is, to your solid fan base, and give them the opportunity to interact with it first. And it's a great way to reach them. And a website's the best way to build your mailing list, because you can have the mailing list sign up form right there on the website. And so they can land there, sign up, enter their email, get whatever incentive it might be, like a free download, for example, for doing it. And it's the best way to build it up. Number 7 on the list is SEO, search engine optimization. Having a website prioritizes you in Google. So if Google detects that you're on socials, but you don't have much of a presence outside of that, you're not going to appear as frequently or as easily as if you have a website. That just makes you more preferential in their eyes. It gives you a better chance of getting a coveted Google Knowledge Panel. If you're not sure what that is, we posted a video on the channel a couple of days ago that you can check out on what that is. Everybody's seen a knowledge panel. If you Google a big artist or an established artist, the first thing that comes up in Google is kind of like a mosaic of different pictures of theirs, maybe like links to their Apple Music, their Spotify, so on and so forth. Some previews of their last pictures on social that they posted. It's kind of this compilation, this nicely organized compilation at the top of Google search results. That's called the Knowledge Panel. To get one of those, you basically have to have a website. It's one of the kind of the things that Google's going to have as a prerequisite to assume that you're established enough online to warrant getting one of these. They only give them out to people with enough of an online presence and enough of a following to warrant it. It's a really good reason. I agree, Rod. I agree. And if anybody's curious about the Google Knowledge Panel, definitely check out that video. Again, I just posted it a couple of days on the channel here, how to maximize SEO and get a Google Knowledge Panel. There's a couple of other steps there that you can do. Creating free profiles for yourself on certain websites like Wikidata, another one called MusicBrainz, which is like a big online music resource. If you create free profiles for your band on there, Google will refer to those a lot as well for musicians. So creating profiles in all these different places really gives you the best chance for getting a knowledge panel. And those are just really awesome. It increases your credibility. So if somebody searches for you, this beautiful knowledge panel comes up at the top of Google, and it just makes you seem like a much more professional, established artist. And it helps people find you in all the different places you're available at too, a lot easier. You can add an EPK to your website. This is another reason. That's number 6 for why a website's really useful. An EPK is an electronic press kit, which is a great. I just did a webinar for Folk Music Ontario, an organization that for folk musicians in the province of Ontario here in Canada. And the organizer was a booker as well. She does a lot of different things. One of the things she does is she books bands for festivals in and around Ontario and Canada. And she was saying that EPKs are, even for smaller, moderately smaller independent acts, they are so useful and they're so essential for organizers. If organizers see a band that has an electronic press kit, which is basically a one-page resume, it's a one-page website that has high-resolution images for promo that people can use, bookers can use, that media can use. It has little snippets about little bios that people can use if they're going to be talking about you or reviewing you. It's got all the information that a booker could possibly need about you and your band in one place, so they don't have to chase you down as like, hey, can you send me pictures of your band for a poster for the promos that we're doing online, or what's the stage formation you guys have. You can put your stage plot on there, your tech writer on there. So definitely you can build an EPK with your website, which is a massive plus for having one. And if you're curious about that, you can search Bandzoogle EPK in YouTube, and we have tons of free resources on how to build an EPK. Number 5 is selling merch to fans, selling music and merch to fans. You can sell direct to fan, which is amazing, right? These days, not everybody necessarily wants to put a ton of effort into selling music to fans. Everything's going towards streaming. That still is a thing. People do want to support and buy your music, so make it available for sale on your website, absolutely. But merch is huge. Everybody asks, that's one big question I get from independent musicians all the time when I do these things. How do we, and I just did a live on this, how to make money as a musician a couple of weeks ago, so check that one out. But it's like, if nobody's buying albums anymore, how are we going to be making money aside from playing gigs? It's merch. Merch is the way to do it. With merch fulfillment services these days, you can create any variety of different kind of merchandise that you want with your branding, logo, name on it. Sell on your website, zero upfront cost. Somebody buys something, the merch fulfillment service, we have an integration with somebody called Printful. They're what's called a merch fulfillment service. So you design the merchandise with them. They have thousands of products, clothing lines to choose from. You slap your colors, logo, whatever you want on it, import it to your Bandzoogle website, set a price. They take their cut, you get what's left. And so there's zero upfront cost, and you can have a really diverse, cool merch store with tons of amazing stuff. And that is a fantastic way, because these days, it's true, not everybody's spending as much money buying music. Physical albums are still really popular. If you're having vinyls pressed or whatever, or selling CDs, definitely have those available too. People still do like to get physical copies, especially of independent artists that they really love to support. People still love buying a vinyl, and they can display it on their wall. They can pop it on whenever they want, have it in their collection. It's awesome. Do that. But merch, cool merch, if you can offer like a good variety of awesome t-shirts on your site for not too much, and really cool different kinds of stuff that you can think of through Printful, there's everything from mugs to keychains to household items. There's every kind of clothing you can think of, hoodies, hats, of course, like long sleeve, short sleeve shirts. There's tons of stuff on there. So make your merch store interesting and let people know about it, promote it. Run sales through Bandzoogle. You can do sale pricing, give people 10% off for a week, whatever it might be, to encourage them to go check out your merch store. So definitely sell music and merch direct to fans through your website. Number 4 for why you need a website for your music, it ties into number 10, which is show your band's unique personality. Again, goes back to that analogy I was saying about listening to an album while looking at the artwork. It's something that you can achieve as well through socials, and it's something that's so much more effective through a website. It allows you to convey that. Number 3 is it's more permanent than social media. Social media platforms kind of come and go. They change, most importantly. The big ones have been around for a long time, so they might be around for a long time more. They might not be, but the biggest thing to worry about is how they change and how the algorithms change and how people consume the content when they're on these platforms and what's immediately available to them. What do they see when they land on your profile? How deep did they have to dig to find stuff that you posted a year ago, 6 months ago? So it's definitely more permanent. You know that once you design the experience, it's there. It's there for as long as you want it to be, and it's consistent. The number one reason, and this is so important, if you're serious about becoming an established act and growing yourself, growing your music career, industry and media expect you to have a website. Music reviewers, journalists, talent buyers, if they know you're a serious musician if you have a website. It's just 100% the case. And they look to a dedicated website when they're looking for certain information. Think about it. If somebody's reviewing an album that you have out there, if somebody's talking about a gig that you played, if they're reviewing the gig, whatever it might be, if there's any situation where any industry member, any journalist, any YouTuber, any influencer is going to be talking about you in any way, if they need information about you, if they need to do research about you, they're going to look for your website. If they want to know where you're from, they're not necessarily going to go to your Facebook page. It might be mentioned there, but it's a lot easier to go to a website and check out the bio. If they want to know how many people are in the band, they can maybe go to your Instagram and click around some pictures and make a guess based on pictures that you have on there. But more often than not, they'll go to the website and look for bios on there. If they want to, if somebody wants to buy merch, they'll go to your website. Or if they want to see what shows you've played in the past, how often you play, how often you gig, tours that you've done before, they're not going to go to your Instagram. They're going to go to your website and they're going to look for a calendar of gigs, and they're going to look for that there. If they need high resolution images, they're going to go to a website. And so it's not only just like a marker of professionalism and establishment as a musician, it's a good resource. It's a good centralized resource for industry and media and fans in general. So that's it. There you have it. The 10 reasons why having a music website is super important. Thanks everybody who popped. I just saw, the number of viewers kind of like fluctuating from up and down there. Thanks everybody who popped in, asked some questions, said hi. We do these every Thursdays around 3 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely pop in for the next one. Keep an eye open on the channel. We post videos constantly every week, informational videos, educational videos, not just like walkthrough stuff about Bandzoogle specifically, which we do as well, but good sort of tips and tricks for musicians trying to find their way in the industry and grow and establish themselves in their community and their city, wherever it might be. My pleasure, Rod. Thanks for popping in. So keep an eye on the channel for the lives, but also the regular posting. If you haven't already, give Bandzoogle a try. There is a link in the bio of the YouTube channel to get 15% off your first year. So give that a try. And let us know. Let us know if you have any questions along the way. Thanks for popping in, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next time.